If you live outside the United Kingdom and you have been paying voluntary national insurance contributions to keep your UK state pension entitlement building, this video is about a change that has already happened and that affects your pension directly. From the 6th of April 2026, voluntary Class 2 national insurance contributions for periods abroad no longer exist. The route is closed, not winding down, not being phased out, closed. And before you decide whether this matters to your situation, there are two assumptions worth testing right now. If you were already paying Class 2 from abroad, you may think this has been handled, that HMRC will sort it out and you just carry on. And if you left the UK years ago and have never looked into voluntary contributions, you may think you have missed the window entirely and there is nothing left to do. Both of those positions leave real money on the table. And both of them ignore something that exists in law right now, available until the 6th of April 2027, that most British people living abroad have not heard about. Stay with me for the next 20 minutes, because the decisions you make in the next 9 months will determine whether your UK state pension entitlement continues to build, stays frozen where it is, or is locked out permanently. If this kind of plain English breakdown of what has genuinely changed in UK national insurance rules for people abroad is useful to you, subscribe now. That is the only way this channel reaches you with the next update before the deadline matters. To understand what closed on the 6th of April 2026 and why it matters so much, you need to understand what voluntary Class 2 contributions actually were and what they were worth. The new UK state pension requires a minimum of 10 qualifying years on your national insurance record to receive any state pension at all. To receive the full new state pension, currently £230.25 per week in the 2025 to 2026 tax year, you need 35 qualifying years. Every qualifying year below 35 reduces what you receive proportionally. Each missing qualifying year costs you approximately £6.58 per week of state pension, or around £342 per year. Over a 20-year retirement, that is approximately £6,840 in lost pension income for every single year missing from your record. Now here is where voluntary contributions come in. If you move abroad and stop paying national insurance through UK employment, your qualifying years stop building. Years spent abroad without contributions are gaps in your record, years that simply do not count toward your state pension entitlement. For decades, British people living abroad could fill those gaps cheaply and efficiently through voluntary Class 2 contributions. The Class 2 rate for the 2025 to 2026 tax year was £3.50 per week, roughly £182 per year. For £182, you received one additional qualifying year. That year added approximately £342 per year to your eventual state pension. At that exchange rate, you would recover your contribution in under 7 months of pension payments and then receive that additional income for the rest of your life. It was one of the most financially effective decisions a British expatriate could make, and as of the 6th of April 2026, it is no longer available. The change was announced by Chancellor Rachel Reeves at the autumn budget on the 26th of November 2025. The government's stated rationale, published in full on gov.uk, is that individuals building a UK state pension from outside the UK should have a stronger connection to the country and should pay a fairer price to do so. The change affects approximately 46,000 people who were paying voluntary Class 2 contributions from abroad at the time of the announcement. Here is what replaced it. From the 2026 to 2027 tax year onwards, the only voluntary contribution available for periods abroad is Class 3. Class 3 voluntary contributions cost £17.75 per week in the 2026 to 2027 tax year, £923 per year. That is an increase of £767 per year compared to Class 2. Same qualifying year, 5 times the price. And that is before you consider the new eligibility conditions. Under the old rules, you could apply to pay voluntary contributions from abroad, either Class 2 or Class 3. If you had lived in the UK continuously for at least 3 years or had paid at least 3 years of national insurance contributions. That was the entry threshold, 3 years. Under the new rules from the 6th of April 2026, new applicants for Class 3 contributions for periods abroad must meet a significantly higher bar. You must have lived in the UK continuously for at least 10 years, or you must have paid at least 10 qualifying years of national insurance contributions in the UK, not including voluntary Class 2 or Class 3 contributions paid for periods abroad. 10 years, not 3. And that 10-year qualifying record must be from contributions paid while actually in the UK. Your years of paying voluntary Class 2 from abroad do not count toward that threshold. This matters enormously for a specific group of people. If you left the UK young, say at 24, after only 3 or 4 years of working and paying national insurance, and you have been abroad for the years since, you may have been paying Class 2 to build your record, but you may not have 10 qualifying years from UK employment. Under the new rules, you cannot access Class 3 contributions for new periods abroad. You are locked out of continuing to build your UK state pension entitlement going forward. That is a permanent outcome for everyone in that position who did not have an active arrangement in place before the 5th of April 2026. Now, here is the part of this that almost nobody has communicated clearly. There is a transitional arrangement, and it has a deadline of the 6th of April 2027. If you were already paying voluntary Class 2 contributions from abroad and had an active arrangement in place on or before the 5th of April 2026, HMRC is offering you a route into Class 3 under the old 3-year eligibility rules rather than the new 10-year rules. That means if you had an active Class 2 arrangement, you may not need to meet the new 10-year threshold at all. You can continue paying voluntary contributions at the Class 3 rate, £923 per year, without needing to prove 10 years of UK residence or 10 years of UK contributions. But to access this transitional route, 3 conditions must be met. First, you must have applied to pay voluntary Class 2 or Class 3 contributions for the 2024 to 2025 or 2025 to 2026 tax year on or before the 5th of April 2026. Second, you must have paid or must pay those contributions by the 5th of April 2027. Third, you must apply to pay Class 3 contributions for the 2026 to 2027 tax year on or before the 6th of April 2027. All 3 conditions. If you meet them, the old 3-year eligibility criteria apply to you, not the new 10-year rules. HMRC has confirmed it will write to everyone with an active Class 2 arrangement from July 2026 to explain this process and confirm what they need to do. If you pay by direct debit, HMRC has specifically said do not cancel it. Your final Class 2 payment for the 2025 to 2026 tax year will be collected on the 10th of July 2026. If you pay manually, you have until the 5th of April 2027 to settle the Class 2 contributions you already applied for covering the 2025 to 2026 tax year. Let me place a person against this because the different groups caught by this change have very different situations. Margaret is 58. She left the UK at 32 and has been living in France since then. She has 22 qualifying years from her time working in the UK before she left, plus a further 4 years she built up through Class 2 contributions paid from France. She had an active Class 2 arrangement on the 5th of April 2026. She is covered by the transitional rules. She will receive a letter from HMRC in July 2026 confirming her position. She needs to apply for Class 3 contributions for the 2026 to 2027 tax year before the 6th of April 2027. She will pay £923 per year instead of £182. She currently has 26 qualifying years. To reach the full 35, she needs 9 more. At £923 per year, filling those 9 years will cost her approximately £8,300 in total. Each year she contributes roughly £342 per year to her eventual state pension income. Over a 20-year retirement, those 9 years are worth approximately £61,500 in additional pension income. The math still works. It is much less attractive than it was under Class 2, but it is not a closed door for Margaret because she had an active arrangement before the deadline. Now consider someone in a different position. James is 45. He left the UK at 26 and has been working in Australia since then. He has 8 qualifying years from his time working in the UK, and he never applied for voluntary contributions while abroad. He has no active arrangement. He does not meet the new 10-year threshold, either for UK residents or for UK contributions. Under the rules as they now stand, James cannot access Class 3 contributions for periods abroad from 2026 to 2027 onwards. His UK state pension record is frozen at 8 qualifying years. If he has no other way to build qualifying years, no return to the UK, no social security agreement that credits years, no other eligible arrangement, he currently has fewer than the minimum 10 years needed to receive any UK state pension at all. That is not a hypothetical risk. That is his current position under the law as changed from the 6th of April 2026. There are 3 practical steps worth taking depending on which of these positions applies to you. The first is to find out exactly where your national insurance record stands right now. You can check your national insurance record and your state pension forecast through your personal tax account on gov.uk. Your personal tax account shows your qualifying years, your contribution history, and an estimate of what your state pension would be if you stopped contributing today, and what it could be if you contributed until your state pension age. This is the single most important piece of information you need before making any decision about voluntary contributions. If you do not have a personal tax account, you can set one up on gov.uk using your government gateway details. You can also contact the Future Pension Centre by phone to request a forecast if you prefer not to use the online service. The second step depends on whether you had an active Class 2 arrangement before the 5th of April 2026. If you did, watch for a letter from HMRC arriving from July 2026. That letter will confirm the closure of your Class 2 arrangement and explain the steps to apply for Class 3 under the transitional rules. Do not ignore that letter. The transitional route, the one that allows you to continue under the old 3-year eligibility criteria rather than the new 10-year requirement, closes permanently on the 6th of April 2027. After that date, if you have not submitted your Class 3 application, you lose access to the transitional arrangement regardless of how long you had previously been paying Class 2. You apply using Form CF83, the application to pay voluntary national insurance contributions when abroad. That form is available on gov.uk. The third step is for those who never had an active arrangement and are now assessing whether any route remains available to them. If you have at least 10 qualifying years from UK employment, contributions paid while you were actually in the UK, you may still be able to access Class 3 contributions under the new rules. Check your personal tax account to confirm whether those qualifying years include any voluntary contributions paid from abroad. The new rules specify that the 10-year threshold must be met by UK contributions, not by voluntary Class 2 or Class 3 contributions paid for periods abroad, with certain exceptions relating to social security agreements. If you worked in the UK for 10 years or more before leaving, that UK employment record may be enough to meet the new threshold. If you have fewer than 10 qualifying years from UK employment and no active arrangement existed before the 5th of April 2026, the position is more constrained. In some cases, if you are working in a country that has a social security agreement with the UK, contributions paid in that country may count toward your UK qualifying years. The specifics depend on the terms of the individual agreement. The relevant information on applicable agreements is published on gov.uk under Guidance on Social Security Agreements. Here is the thread running through all of this. Class 2 was cheap because it was designed for a different purpose. It was primarily a contribution for self-employed people, carrying a low rate that reflected their lower state benefit entitlements relative to employed earners. Extending it to British expatriates as a route to state pension entitlement was a policy decision that successfully governments were comfortable with for many years. What the Autumn Budget 2025 changed is the government's assessment of whether that deal remained fair. The stated aim that people building a UK pension from outside the UK should have a stronger connection to the country and pay a fairer price is now law. 46,000 people who were paying Class 2 from abroad are directly affected. For those with an active arrangement before the 5th of April 2026, the transitional window remains open until the 6th of April 2027. For those without one, the new 10-year eligibility threshold now applies. The mathematics of Class 3 at £923 per year are less compelling than Class 2 at £182. But they are not unattractive for people who have enough qualifying years to benefit from every additional year they add. At £923 per year and roughly £342 added annually to your pension, you recover each year's contribution in under 3 years of pension payments. Over a longer retirement, the return remains significant. The decision of whether to continue paying at the higher Class 3 rate depends on how many qualifying years you already have, how many more you need to reach the maximum, and how long until you reach your state pension age. Those numbers are specific to you, and the place to start is your national insurance record on gov.uk. If you know someone living abroad, a family member in Spain, a friend in Australia, a colleague who moved to Canada years ago and has been paying Class 2 quietly in the background, send this to them. Not because their situation is necessarily in trouble, but because the letter HMRC sends in July 2026 will not explain everything covered in this video. It will tell them Class 2 has closed and offer them Class 3. It will not explain that the transitional window closes on the 6th of April 2027. It will not lay out what the new 10-year eligibility rules mean for someone who left the UK young. And one share from you could be the thing that prompts them to check their record and make that decision in time, rather than discovering in retirement that their UK state pension is less than it could have been, because a deadline passed while nobody told them what it meant. Subscribe to this channel for plain English coverage of what is genuinely changing in UK retirement and national insurance rules. I will see you in the next one.